All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 2 of Cornerstone Conversations. I am joined by my good friend Patrick De Lorenzo, owner of WJ De Lorenzo Financial Group, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what he's done over the last year and how exciting it is having a agent to split business with on advanced market stuff. Yes, we do things like debt free for life. We do tax free retirements. We do things with kids. It's a little outside of our bread and butter of death benefit life insurance with mortgage protection or final expense, but hey, it's still got a death benefit, and he's going to help us simplify it a little bit. Patrick, thank you for joining us today.
John, thanks for having me, man. This is kind of cool. I am one of the I won the premiere episode, but I'm the first episode outside of the premiere. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, I couldn't think of another person I wouldn't have to follow up JK. No pressure there to follow up him, but he had to be episode number one. um Patrick, you and I were just talking before starting. How long have you been in the business? I know Cornerstone and Equus has been around since 2016, so it's kind of hard to believe we're coming up on the 10th year. And then kind of tell people what attracted you to the advanced market sides in Equus. And what I mean by advanced markets, guys, I'm talking about working with annuities, IULs, not the simplified issue IULs, and of course with the debt free for life that we're going to get into a little bit later with Patrick.
Yeah. So, John, this is the 19th year, which is crazy to say out loud because I didn't think it was that long ago, but it's been a while for me that I've been doing this. It's just this is one of those fields that like I think most people, I didn't set out to join. It wasn't really what I was looking for in life, but the opportunity came along at a point where I urgently needed something different in my life, and I was one of those people. I jumped in, I burned the bridge behind me, kind of pulled a Cortez, got to the new world, set the ships on fire because then we have to move forward. Um, but as far as what attracted it to me, I liked. I'm trying to figure out the most diplomat. I liked being able to provide for my family. Maybe that's the best way to say it. But money, we're not supposed to love it, but it's a tool and we're allowed to use it. So I like being able to give stuff to the people I care about. I don't just mean like trinkets. I mean like food. I mean a home. I mean, experiences. That to me is why I got into this industry. And it's, you're able to help others and really help yourself and the people you love just by doing the right thing.
Exactly. As long as you have been in the business and the type of people you help serve, I'm pretty sure being in the field so long, you've seen different death benefits and delivered those checks. So it can definitely be eye opening in the difference when leaving that check to a grieving person as well. And along with the life insurance and the stuff that we'll be talking about. I mean, it's pretty neat to see this be used because, Patrick, I think a lot of people have the misconception that life insurance is only used for death. And I think a lot of our conversation is going to be how they can use life insurance while they are living. And I know we have the living benefit life insurance, but hence the word life and living. I think that's a pretty phenomenal thing as well. What you have been able to see for the person you help protect still be able to use it while they're alive and not for their family to use.
Yeah, I just for me there's so much more to this than just a death benefit. That I guess is the final use of what we do. But the reality is there's so many things it can do for people while they're alive that we just I say we collectively we need to do a better job of just educating people. I'm at the point now where like some of the things that I set up years ago, I realize maybe during the Olympics having a Norwegian flag behind me is probably not the best thing in the world. Um, because I bleed red, white, and blue, not those red, white, and blues. But the cool thing is setting up the stuff that I've set up on myself was the reason my wife and I got to do a long weekend in Norway a couple weekends back. Just somewhere I'd never been that we were able to do. the stuff that I've set up on myself is the reason we were able to pay off $40,000 worth of vehicles in the last 13 months. Um, I don't, I'm not special, but I don't think most people understand that there's things out there that they can use for themselves, for the people they care about, to do stuff like that. And that to me is a huge passion. I want to be able to show everybody how to do that kind of stuff because I think it's cool.
Yes, educating the client is definitely important. I know JK's favorite saying is we were taught to go to school, get a good education, get out and good job, retire at 65, and then have a good couple years to enjoy of retirement. And it's the same thing of the vehicles that we take every day. We want to go out and find a good job that's going to give us a great 401k and benefits of sick and life insurance and everything like that. And, Patrick, it's, sad to see that it's definitely not talked about, in the classrooms, and we have to come in and fill in behind it. But, that's with a lot of things, of the failure that is taught to some of it is just the lack of knowledge and out there for the people. So let's kind of transition because I know we're talking about something interesting today here, and what we have the ability at the Cornerstone Group and a part of Equus is having a 50-50 split. And I can talk from my perspective of how beneficial that has been to me to be able to focus on the day to day and not have to worry about some of the things that go way over my head. So Patrick does know that stuff. So Patrick, so we're just reviewing your numbers and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So I think you had 190,000 paid last year, correct?
Yeah,
ABV, probably definitely a little bit more. Insurance numbers are a little bit weird, and no worries. But this is the phenomenal number that you and I were just talking. I think it's more impressive than this. And you can go into details, Patrick, of how many people you're helping on a split case inside of Equus, but $117,763 and some change that was deposited into another agent's account who just referred business over to you. And I'm telling you, people, that all they did was like, hey, Patrick, this person's interested. I'm handing it off to you. And then a couple days later, you get a phone call and it's done. And it's like, hey, look, surprise, you're getting this kind of check. So, in that, having that competitive advantage, Patrick, I know you and I have had, conversations, and we've heard other companies have the split program, and it's not quite as sexy as what Equus provides. So, how has having a 50-50 split helped agents at Equus and kind of gives them a competitive advantage? And I would say an incentive to be able to go out and find more money than what they're doing on a daily basis inside the home, whether it's running mortgage protection or final expense.
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, the reality is when I got here many years ago, Equus was a lot smaller, wasn't the juggernaut that it is today. And there was me and one other guy that were the quote unquote specialists. And Pete Lee and Bill 2.0, when they unrolled this, unveiled rather the stuff that they had, the conversation was, a 70-30 split. And me and that other agent, despite any other disagreements we might have had, but we both saw eye to eye on, something, if we do this 50-50, no agent would ever be able to say they're not being treated fairly. There's no circumstances where, if you're not doing part of the work and you're still getting 50% of the cut, how do you say with a straight face, I wasn't treated fairly? You can't. Mathematically, you can't. I guess there's other ways.
Right.
That was one of the things that we beat a drum about from day one. Let's just do 50-50, and like you said, $117,763.60 went to someone else's bank account from those 50-50 splits last year, which is really cool. That's $322.64 per calendar day that went into another person's bank account, which is, thank God, that's amazing. But, that how could you not be excited about a 50-50 split? I'll toss the question back to you. There's times where, I've sent you a text and said, hey, you remember, Joe Smith? we just wrote his wife for this, so I need your writing number for XYZ company.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me, is that a fun text to get?
It is a very fun text, and I think you and I can agree. When we're looking at fairness, probably for the amount of work that you guys do, 70-30, if not maybe more, it should be going to you guys for the amount of work and knowledge that you guys know and going in with all the products. But the fact that, hey, I know this person, I'm willing to give up 50. And Patrick, you and I have this conversation all the time. Hey, would you want to receive 0% of the commissions or 50% of the commissions? And you don't have to go and try to expand and learn all this mumbo jumbo with, all the other carriers because we represent a lot of carriers. So it definitely is incentivizing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, with all the stuff that we have access to, especially with the additions of Integrity Marketing Group and Gradient and so many other things that we didn't have access to 10 years ago here, there is just a ludicrous number of carriers and products and things that we can do for a household. And here's the reality. None of us are going to learn them all. We're just not. It's not because we're ignorant or anything else. There's too many.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at all the different states and how there's certain tweaks in each state, and then when
Mm-hmm.
you look at how regulations and laws and other things cause changes from year to year, we're never going to learn everything. So my suggestion to anybody is just, find something that is you're good at. You could be
Mm-hmm.
good at it because you study the heck out of it. You could be good at it because it affects you personally. You could be good at it because it's something passionate that you're passionate about. But we all got different strengths, and some of us. I mean, this is my personal area where it's something I was doing years before I ever came to Equus. So for me, it was just easy to continue.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on with that. We learn a lot. We have a lot of rules and regulations. This is one of the most regulated industry in America. So to be able to continue up with those laws, get good at one thing, to be able to put money in your bank account. We're not saying that you can't add extra money, but when you add extra money at a 50%, you don't have to learn anything else and allows you. I mean, it's like icing on top of the cake.
Yeah, and the other reality is I mean, there are there are agents I reach out to if I'm working on something final expense. Again, nearly 2 decades into this career, there's if I'm working something final expense, I have got a person that is just I am messaging their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Could I bumble my way through it? Yes. Does that other individual know it way the heck better than I do? Yeah. And it's just my thing is this is rather than me bumble my way through it and get stuck on a learning curve, I'm going to shoot a text to somebody, have them go, yeah, based on what you're telling me, use this. I have benefited from that individual's experience, and then I'm not, you know, setting up stuff that's not going to get issued or going to get replaced at some point because
Yeah.
it makes it simple. There's certain things that just take advantage of other individuals' knowledge. That's the cool thing about being part of this group here. We've got folks that have been doing this for many, many, many years, and their areas of expertise. It's not that you're not capable of learning. It's not that you shouldn't learn it. Go learn it if you want to, but just understand that they might have a decade or more head start on where you are in your learning process. So they're going to have knowledge. They're going to have skills. They're going to have um, easier ways to get from point A to point B that you might not think of. So I think that's a huge advantage that we have here.
You're exactly right. You might be able to think of one product for somebody, but it's not the best fitting product for them, and then that sets you up to be able to get replaced. And if you have a client who left a job and has an old 401k and basically has a check stamped to their forehead of like, hey, get me out of this old 401k. I'm losing money. But you want to take the time to learn the product and figure out all the bells and whistles and everything like that. That client's probably going to go elsewhere. And you just help service someone else. And you weren't able to help service your own client. When I could have just taken a couple seconds, hey, I'm sitting down with Miss Betty, Patrick. I'm going to introduce you guys. She has an old 401k that she's losing money on and it's not growing, and she wants to be able to grow it at a safe rate. So I think, Bill 2.0, you mentioned him earlier. I think him and his wife did a funny video, maybe with another company, but like running out of the house and tripping over a bag full of money. It's like, how much money and meat are you leaving on the table when you're not having these conversations? And it's not like, and obviously, Patrick, you and I both know is like you can definitely be scared and not know how to ask the right questions, but having that specialist program at Equus and with the Cornerstone Group, I have, as much as I've learned from you, I can just put my hands up and say, hey, you know what? I'm not the specialist on this. I'm not going to mess it up. Those questions you have are wonderful. Why don't you just ask those for Patrick when you guys meet?
And and you've done a great job of that. I think one of the cool things also, I think as far as serving the clients, because that's what we're here for at the end of the day. I think one of the things that we, both have done well, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, so I'll toot yours, but one of the things I've seen you do is when you say that to someone, you are automatically moving up as far as a level of trust for that person, because you're saying, hey, look, let me introduce you to someone that can help that because with you with this particular thing, because all of a sudden you have gone from guy that's helped them with something to now you're referring them to someone else and showing them that when it comes to taking care of them, you're willing to go make sure that they're in front of the best person they can get in front of based on that thing. And then here's what's funny. It's like when they're meeting me sometimes, especially after they've recently done something with you, they're like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, oh yeah, John, is that what John set you up with? That's absolutely what you need. And then all of a sudden I am validating what you set up for them, which automatically, boosts you even further, I think. And it just, there's kind of a synergy there. I might be
Mm-hmm.
doing a piss poor job of explaining it, but that's what I think we can do for clientele. I think that's a way to help them.
Exactly. I think it goes back to what people in this business strive for every day is that client for life. And I think that's what we need to get, a lot of people need to get better at is developing that client for life is how can I service everything in this household for this client and develop that client for life as what we were just talking about. And it does help because they had just met you and then they're like, hey, I'm passing you to someone else. And they're like, well, how many people are you going to pass through? It's like, hey, look, I'm just a mortgage protection specialist. You do not want me answering any of these questions. You want to ask anything about your mortgage protection policy, I'll be able to answer them. But being able to have Patrick and saying, hey, I got Patrick in my office, we work together, blah, 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 blah. You're just setting it up and he's going to do it right back with you guys.
Absolutely. And I think where a lot of us make a mistake. Are we allowed to talk about that? Can we talk about where we're making mistakes? Is that something we can?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, because again, if this is for other agents, I think one of the areas where we all make mistakes, and I have been guilty of this, is fear. And what I mean by that is we're afraid to ask that client about money because we just wrote that awesome GPMUL. We just wrote the Forrester Strong Foundation. We just wrote that Americo Eagle product. And we are so excited. We wanted to stay on the books, so we can't talk to them about anything else. That's garbage.
Mm-hmm.
But that's normal. That's a fear. I've done it too. Oh gosh, I don't want to say something else because then they might change their mind about this. No, they won't. It doesn't happen. But in our
Yeah.
heads, and I did this for a long time, I was the same way. Um, and the other area where fear kind of rears its ugly head is I remember coming to this industry and just being broke. And was just, I didn't have anything. I had nothing in my bank account. I was that person who would go to a corner because I had to put gas in my car. And if there's 3 gas stations on a corner, you guys have all seen that. I'm looking to see which one's a penny cheaper because that's the one I'm going to go to. And especially in the brand spanking early beginning, I was the one that put $5 worth of gas in my car, not because that was sufficient, but because if I put $5 in, If I really had to, I could run my card one more time, knowing it was going to overdraft, and then I would just fill the thing up because if I'm going to get hit with the $35 overdraft fee, I might as well fill the tank. But I was trying to gamble, and so for me, when I was at that point where I was broke and financially really hurting, asking someone else about an account that has $200,000 to me, that didn't even make sense because that's more money than I've ever seen in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
consequently, it's a hard conversation to have. It's you're trembling a little because I can't talk to these people about 2,000. I don't have 20. But that's where we kind of screw up. But I want to just put a couple thoughts in everybody's head. Every appointment you are sitting in front of, according to multiple studies that have been done by FINRA, that have been done by LIMRA, that have been done by all sorts of different groups, the average household that we go in front of has got $75,000 of investable assets, which is horrible because we should have more than that as an average household, but that's the average. And yes, I get it. That means today I'm going to speak to somebody that has zero. But the way averages work is the next person I talk to has 150 because that's how you average 75. And just as you're working during the course of your week, new agent, if you're scheduling 20 appointments, you need to multiply 75,000 by 20 because that's what you're in front of during the course of a week, which is $1.5 million. And here's the reality. I know we don't hold all of our appointments, but what if you hold 10? What
Mm-hmm.
if you hold 8? What if you hold 5? You're still in front of a ton of money each week. If you run 5 appointments a week, $75,000 times 5 appointments a week, it's only $375, $375,000. I get it, but 52 weeks a year, that's $19.5 million
Mm-hmm.
off of 5 appointments a week. Don't tell me these people don't have money. All right, guys, if they don't have money, they're not buying mortgage protection. A lot of the folks we work with through our lead programs, through Integrity, um, those are people who have recently purchased a home. If you have ever gone through the process of buying a home, you know what you have to go through. You have to be able to show your bank account, how much is in there, where the funds for the closing are coming from. You can't just say, oh, I'm writing a check. They want to say, where are those funds now? How did they get there? Did your mom give you that 60 days ago to put into your bank account? Did you pull something out of a 401k? They want to know all that crap. So here's the crazy thing. If you have somebody that's purchased a home, they have money. They're not
Mm-hmm.
broke. If you're working virtually, they are on an internet signal that they have paid for, sitting on a computer or a laptop that they have paid for, running electricity to keep it going that they are paying
Mm-hmm.
for. You spoke to them on the phone to schedule that on a phone that's probably costing $100 a month. They have money. Please stop thinking like that. If I can do anything else, let's get over some of the fear.
I love that. And I love how you went down that road. And I think what we have to get really good at teaching at, and this can go for anyone who sees this video. Obviously, we're trying to get this to reach across everyone across the United States. Is like, hey, if they don't see the value in what you're presenting to them at first, or they just don't have the funds, don't think that, hey, I can't pivot to a debt elimination, a tax-free retirement, something for their kids or for their grandkids. Because let me tell you, there's probably a lot of times, Patrick, I know it's happened to me a handful of times where they didn't want to do a protection plan, but I just said, "Hey, are you happy with your retirement? Are you happy with the amount of debt you have? Show me a raise of hands if you go to every home in America, they're happy with the debts that they have going on right now. I bet all of them will say that they're not happy with the debt they have going on. So don't be a fear. I think that's another fearful thing too, Patrick, is that oh they didn't do this because they didn't have enough money, so they're not going to have money to be able to do this. You just don't know what's valuable to them.
John, and man, you made me think of it. I'm obviously not going to say the client's name, but there was one that you and I had in North Carolina. I don't know if you're. I'm not going to say it obviously on camera, but they basically told you, I don't have money for this.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because they were spending an extra, like, what was it, like 1,200 extra dollars a month currently over and above their minimum payments on bills.
Yep.
And instead, but they couldn't afford that $89 a month mortgage protection plan, because they didn't have any money, but they're spending 1,200 extra on their debts. And you introduced us and we wrote that case. And I think I see your face. You're knowing who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter, we wrote another thing on that same household. It was a retirement account. We wound up moving. And then
Mm-hmm.
not too terribly long ago, we got a referral from that same person that we wrote something else on. The check is actually, you and I talk, you know what I'm talking about, right? The check
Yeah.
is on its way right now and should have arrived yesterday, but apparently there's bad weather up north. But like, this was all from a person that couldn't afford an $89 a month mortgage protection plan, or so they.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not that they couldn't; it's their free money was already going toward their debts.
Yep, you're exactly right. So I think there's a big urge, I think there's a big tension, and I think if people could see, there's a big elephant taken up in both of our rooms right now. Because you had said something interesting earlier. Your life insurance policy that you had in place for you and your wife and family helped you guys go on a trip to Norway and to pay off this. So let's clear the air real quick. Let's have the pin drop for a second. So let's talk about your baby, because I don't think a lot of insurance companies have this, and it's a game changer and definitely a competitive advantage being an Equa. So let's talk about the debt free for life real quick.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have the ability to do for our clientele is we have the ability to get them out of debt. And you kind of mentioned, debts a minute ago. Are they happy with their debt? I'm gonna I'm gonna forgive me and forgive my arrogance, but I'm gonna tweak your language a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to approach it from a slightly different standpoint. I want you to find the person that's happy with their debt. I want you to find the person that is so happy with their debts, the idea of paying their home off early would piss them off. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I'm censoring
You're
myself.
good.
I want you to. I want the person watching this, go find the person that if their clients owned their car outright and didn't have a car payment, they'd be angry. Find the person that says, "Man, all this credit card debt. If it went away tomorrow, I would be so depressed. I'd throw myself off a cliff." Find me that person, because I don't. If we ask people, "Oh, you happy with your mortgage?" "Oh yeah." Are you really? Do you really? Do you get excited? Do you wake up every morning and go, "All right, one more day closer to the 15th. I cannot wait. I'm so excited about the 15th. I get to stroke that check for $2,000. I can't wait." They're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're not. And don't. I'm gonna challenge agents right now, because here. You asked a question earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know how many agents we have at Equus. I don't know how many agents we have at Cornerstone. I helped 10 agents with cases last year. 4 of those 10, it was one case or less. And we're even if they're, I don't care if they're coming to me at this point, we are missing the boat on what we can do for people. Walk up to any human being, guys. If you are new right now, if I could show you how to pay off your mortgage, your credit cards, your cars, all your other debts in half the time or less, without having to refinance it, without having to do any debt consolidation garbage, are you opposed to seeing the math? That is very specific language, and use it exactly like that. If I could show you how to pay off your mortgage and all your other debts in half the time or less, without having to refinance it, without having to do any kind of debt consolidation garbage, are you opposed to seeing the math? Here is the insane thing. We have agents that I know have debt right now that haven't even thought about looking at getting out of it. I know every one of us has a family member right now that has debt. Every one of us has a family member right now that has debt. Ask them. Ask them that question precisely. Don't change it. Don't tweak it. Don't, would you like to see? Do you want to see? Think about times you're in a doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to your doctor, men, ladies, I'm going to give you each an example. Men, once you hit a certain age, you have to be checked for certain things. Ladies, once you hit puberty, you have to be checked for certain things. That doctor, whether they're male, female, young, old, they don't say, hey, would you like to take off your clothes and sit in this chair? They don't say, hey, would you like it if I put the glove on and then, take the finger? They don't do that. Because the truth is, I see you laughing. The truth is, no, we wouldn't like them to.
Yeah.
But we also recognize that because of our health and our desire to continue to be alive, we recognize that we have to.
Mm-hmm.
We have the ability to help. My doctor doesn't, you're not going to believe me there's actually a Cologuard box on the floor of my office because I'm supposed to use that for something because I've now crossed 45. And my family has a significant cancer history, which I haven't opened yet, I promise. But, the reality is I don't want to open that box.
Mm-hmm.
But am I going to open it? Yeah. I don't want to, but I'm gonna.
Mm-hmm.
And my doctor didn't say, all right, hey, I'm going to send a Cologuard box to your house. Would you like to use it? No.
Yeah.
My doctor has said, well, Patrick, you've got a couple choices based on your family's history of cancer and the fact that you're your only one of your siblings or parents that hasn't had it. Do you want to do this or do you want this? And all right, fine, let's go with the box. Same logic, guys. I mean, the thing we've got to stop doing with clients. I had an agent that sent to me something to me the other day. Hey, I've got a person I'm thinking I'm going to have talk to you. I told them what you do. They said they'd be willing to hear you out. Those are the exact words, willing to hear me out. I had to take a pause because I've been new too. But the
Mm-hmm.
thought that went in my head is I have looked at the board. The Debt Free for Life program for my clientele has currently paid off or is in process of paying off over $50 million of debt currently. When someone tells me they're willing to hear me out, I kind of smile because I kind of want to say you should be banging down my door unless you're just, and I'm trying not to get ignorant, arrogant, or get a big head, but there's a part of me wants to go, this is either true or it's false, and if it's true, you should absolutely want to see it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why? Which of your lenders are more important to you than your wife? Which of your lenders are more important to you than your kids? Which of your lenders are more important to you than yourself? I just kind of smiled because he's willing to hear me out. And I just wanted to say, dude, you're not doing me a favor.
Right.
I didn't know how to nicely say that, but I wanted to tell the agent because the agents knew, listen, man, you are a professional. You can make
Mm-hmm.
earth changing, life altering things happen for those families that you're working with if you're doing the right thing for the right reason. Do not let someone make you feel like they're doing you a favor to hear you out.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I wish every one of us realized.
Yeah, I think if everyone takes the persona of, hey, you are the doctor when you go into these people's homes, you have to act like you are the doctor. If you pass your whatever state exam, you have more knowledge than they do. I don't question my doctor when he goes, hey, I think you should take this medication or this vitamin, or you should have surgery on this. You know what, doc? I'm questioning your 8 years of schooling and all your knowledge and everything like that. You know what? I think I'm just going to pass on that. I'm not being funny, but I think they definitely need to take on that persona.
Yeah.
And we're not saying for new agents to deter them away of like, hey, great job in asking that. Let's tweak it a little bit so you can ask the questions a little bit better.
Yes. Ask them from a point of knowledge and authority because you
Mm-hmm.
help that other person that you're sitting with. You're not a salesperson, guys. I get it. There's a sales component to this job. No question.
Mm-hmm.
But you are not a salesperson. You are not a salesperson. My doctor, again, and you guys just so you understand. Hang on 2 seconds, Jake. Before someone thinks I'm making it up, there really is one of these stupid boxes here. My doctor charged my card to send that to me. There's a sales component to what my doctor does.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not trying to sell me this. He's doing it because my father has cancer. Every one of my siblings has had cancer. I have not. So in
Mm-hmm.
my household, it's probably only a matter of time until I do. So, from a standpoint of authority, a standpoint of giving a care about me, he's telling me, hey, you need to get this. We have that same authority in a financial realm. Hey, I get it, and just real quick, if you're an agent watching this, I want you to think right now, do you know someone that has died in a car wreck? Yes. Do you know someone who's been diagnosed with cancer? Yes. Do you know someone that has had a stroke or a heart attack? Yes. Every one of you right now watching this has had somebody that clicks one of those boxes. Guys, they didn't get a letter in the mail 2 weeks beforehand. Hey, get your act together because in 2 weeks, somebody's going to run a stop sign because they're playing on their phone. They're going to T-bone your car.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, next week, your uncle's going to have a massive stroke. Make sure he's got his stuff together. It doesn't happen that way. So here's the reality. Life is going to happen. People are going to pass away unexpectedly. Isn't that the cute thing people always say? Oh, dad had an unexpected heart attack, stroke, cancer diagnosis, car wreck. It's never expected. No one
Yeah.
said, yeah, hey, man, Chris Farley, the actor from Saturday Night Live, he died of an unexpected heart attack. Dude was on cocaine. Dude was 200 pounds overweight. It was still somehow unexpected. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why, but that's what we call it. We don't say, yeah, we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's how life works. So what we have to do is before that garbage happens to someone, because it will, we got to have these conversations because that's what we do. And 87 death claims in my career, 87 checks that I have delivered, it's because I had a conversation with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't think it was going to happen to them either, ever.
No, no one
Yeah.
ever does.
Yeah.
No one ever does. Patrick, as we get close to wrapping up,
Okay.
I think I had a thought, but I lost it. Oh well. Um, it'll come back to me. No worries. It won't come back to me. So, Patrick, I don't remember what I was going to ask. How important, you said we have several agents who, um, are in debt but won't sit down to take the time to have the math. There's probably a lot of agents that go out and try to sell life insurance to people and they don't have any in their own. So talk about how important it is real quick before we wrap up for people to see their own math because it helps when you come across from belief in what people are seeing to be like, hey, I got this because it's like you use it in your thing. Well, I don't know if you want to do this. I'm doing this in mine and my family's account.
So I am a big believer. Like I said, we're not salespeople, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, you just saw me grab something. If you can, I can zoom in on this. These are the IULs with F and G, the path setters specifically for my daughter Ava, my son Christopher. One boy, one girl, coincidentally. I've got their stuff in here because I can bust it out at a moment's notice. The client knows, well, why do you do this? Well, I don't know why you should do it. This is what I do for my family. These are my kids. And I'm not being a jerk about it, but there's a part of me that's like sitting there in my head thinking, well, I don't know why you'd want, I take care of my kids because I feel like that's my job. That's my role. I want them to be in a better spot than I am. I don't want them to have the same struggles I had. I want them to have I want them to, when they're moving through their adulthood, I want them to start further ahead than where I had to start. And my hope is they do the same thing for my grandkids one day. So my grandkids are starting way the heck further ahead than where I started or my kids started, because I do it out of love.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the same thing when it comes to my debt free for life account. That is on the 28th of each month, $2,500 goes into mine. It has,
Hmm.
there's 95,000 odd dollars in there right now. It has allowed me to pay off cars. It has allowed me to pay off student loans. It has allowed me to pay off medical debts. It has allowed me to go to places that I have never had a chance to go to otherwise. That's what it's done for me. And
Hmm.
I don't know why someone else should do it, but I do it because I want those experiences with my wife. I want the ability to put us in a spot where we don't have to have a car payment. I want to create a scenario where again, I want to do everything I can for my family. So I can't answer someone else as far as why they would or wouldn't want to do it, but I can simply educate the heck out of them on why I do it in my household. And the reason I am able as an agent to offer and move a large volume of IULs is because I have an IUL on myself and my wife
Hmm.
and my kids. The reason I'm able to do debt free for life at a high level is because I have a debt free for life plan on myself and my family. The reason I'm able to do, annuities is I have moved some of our money into annuities. And to me, it's not the challenge for an agent is going out and talking someone else into tax-free retirement if that agent doesn't have it themselves. They'll never do it. They don't believe it.
Hmm.
Oh, Mr. Jones, you should look at debt-free for life. Well, have you looked at it? Well, no, 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 no. Of course not. That's where that's where we as agents struggle. When
Yeah.
don't, if I opened a restaurant and someone asked me, well, Patrick, do you eat at your place? Absolutely not. No, don't touch the food here. What does that say? If
Hmm.
I own a restaurant, but I won't eat there, if I open a Subway sandwich next week and, you know, I, you know, I tell people I will not eat this food, that's not sending a good message.
Yeah. And I love what you say. You use this example all the time, and I'll probably butcher it, but it's like put the people that you love and put the people that you owe things to. And it's like, hey, put like a heart beside the one that you love the most. You love sending more money to your debtors than to your family, for sure. And what you've set up is you're setting something up down a line that you're starting that progression right there of like, hey, I didn't have these things set up for me, but I'm gonna have it set up for you. And then so when you set it up for your kids, it's gonna be a lot better. And then when they say it's just a trickling effect, and I love that.
Yeah, I say it real simple. For it's usually men, they're the issues when they're on the fence about doing something. I'm just saying, all right, well, great. We got that list of your creditors up there real quick. We got Visa, there's Discover, MasterCard. You got Mr. Cooper, your mortgage company. Oh, you got Capital One for your auto. You got the Mohila for your student loans. Real quick, can we write your wife's name on there? All right, good. Can we also put your kids' names on there? I want you to real fast circle what is most important to you. And usually the wife's sitting there, obviously. But I dare that guy to say, oh, well, I love my wife, but man, those Capital One commercials with Sam Jackson, those things are awesome. I really want to make sure Capital One can keep those going on. Guys, when it comes to creditors, they're $1 billion entities 99% of the time.
Hmm.
If you're not $1 billion entity, Mr. Client, if you're not $1 billion entity, do you think financially you should prioritize you or $1 billion organization? All right, cool. Mr. Johnson, I know you said you're sending $2,000 extra a month to Capital One. Let me ask you, if you could send 2,000 extra to yourself and your wife, still pay off Capital One in half the time or less, are you against doing that? If they say yes, I don't need to waste any more time on that human being.
Hmm.
As soon as you tell me that Capital One and Sam Jackson is more important than your spouse, that person and I, despite anything else, don't have enough in common to form a rapport.
Yeah. You're exactly right. Well, Patrick, thank you for joining with me. I think this is setting up a whole line of other calls that we're going to set up because we're going to dive into a little bit more of it. So catch Patrick in the upcoming episodes. Patrick, for anyone who comes across this that is not in the insurance business but is intrigued by what you said, that hey, I love my family more than I love Samuel L. Jackson, and they want to set up a plan with you, or they're in the insurance agency but can't offer this to your clients but want to be mentored and coached by you, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Patrick?
Honestly, reach out to my cell. It's 803 210 9353. Again, it's 803 210 9353. You're more than welcome to reach out. If you do, just mention that you saw this podcast. So, like, I know how we got, so what you've seen. So maybe I can kind of tweak what I'm saying a little and make it more relevant to whoever that is reaching out.
Awesome. Well, Patrick,
Yeah,
yeah, thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to the ones where we get more involved and allow you to share your screen. You posted something phenomenal on Facebook the other day, and I think that's going to be the next couple series that we have coming up, is just going down and doing some of the breakdown where we can educate people.
absolutely. And that would be really cool if we could do that. I hope we get to.
I think so. I hope so too. Patrick, thanks for joining me. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in.